Good. So, Miracle, we've had LO1 and today we're looking into LO2.
Okay.
Yes, and research in health and social care. Is there any way, since you're first, can you turn your video on and turn it off briefly, if you can?
Okay. Okay.
Okay, that's fine. You can turn it off then. You can turn it off. That's fine. So, today we look into how to identify and justify a topic for a research within services within the health and social care. Okay, and so when we say a research topic, Miracle, what do you understand?
Um, Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but
When
although
we
I'm
say
at
a research topic, what's your understanding?
um, can you please give me a minute, please?
That's
I'm
fine.
at work, so
Oh, are you
I'm
at work? Oh, sorry. Then let
yeah.
me crack on then. If you are at work, let me crack on.
Mm.
So a research topic obviously is that a topic that you have proposed to a supervisor of yours, of which your supervisor have agreed that the topic you can proceed with the research work. Okay, that's the meaning of research topic. Okay, a research topic. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, research topic. And so if you choose a topic, it only becomes a confirmed and an agreed topic only when your supervisor have given you the green light to proceed. And those topics, when you are choosing, you ought to look at how ethical those research is. Is it, have you considered the ethical considerations of the research? What purpose would the research serve? Are there any objectives with the research? What may be the importance of the research? Will it come to solve an issues or will it be a disaster when the research comes in play? And so these are things that you need to look into. Is the research more pragmatic or is it more theoretical? Does it come under the health and social care sector or is it outside the remit of the health and social sector? All right. So this is a video that we can watch later on about research. I would copy this and okay, then let's see, watch this one. Right. All right. So let's proceed. So you saw that you have to agree a topic. Who do you agree the topic with? It's your research supervisor. Branko, are you there? It's your research supervisor. He's the only person or she is the only person that can agree a topic with you and give you the green light to proceed. Okay. And in looking at your research proposal template, these are some of the links that you can look into in your templates. These are some of the links you could look into in your research proposal template.
Mm.
All right.
Okay.
www.health.org.uk research projects. Okay. These are all within the healthcare. You could look into it and then make an informed decision as to which area of research that you want to look into and which one you want to build your case on. I've just shared it as well. Okay.
Mm,
And then the
okay.
evidence-based practice. I've mentioned that in research, your research cannot be done in vacuum. The research should be dependent on the evidence that you have gathered. So a research should be done based on the evidence that you've gathered. That's why in research we do what we call questionnaire. We try to do a primary gathering of information, and then we do what we call a secondary gathering of information, where the primary becomes the general information that you have gathered from people that you've spoken to, from companies that you've spoken to, from different aspects of information that you have gathered. But the secondary now, you don't choose among the many information that you have gathered. Choose a particular one among that you want to digress your research. That becomes a secondary, okay, information. Okay, so research should not be in vacuum. They ought to be evidence-based. Hence why you do what we call references, because you have done a research which is evidence-based and you have done information gathering from other sources, being journals, being its uh, um, peer review conferences and all that. You ought to be evidence-based. In other words, you ought to have what we call literature review, a review and analyze the kind of research that you intend to do and make sure that you remain within the frame of what you want to do. You don't go overweight because your research you have a start date and an end date, and your research you have um when you want to finish, when you start. Okay, it should also have um time frame, a scope of limitations. Wherever that you encounter during your research gathering, it ought need to be mentioned in your research work. So a practical example is that it talks about clinical experience. Oftentimes, how do you get to know? How do you get to know the um the warning signs of um warning signs of warning signs of a patient? The nurses do what we call observation chart. In the observation chart, they are able to tell, they are able to tell by observation of observation machine what pertains to ailments of a patient, and from that it's evidence based, because the observation chart will give the evidence of the number of the breath rate, temperature, and then your pulse rate. And that then will inform, based on evidence, the number of score that you are scoring, which then would inform the kind of treatment that you need to be, whether urgent treatment or whether you are very okay, and the medication that needs to be given to you, and the kind of doctor's attention that you need. Okay. And those normally you see that in the hospitals. Are we together?
Yes, fine.
Are we together? Now, I mentioned that a research should be ethical considered, which guys principles that it should be voluntary participation. The people that you get them involved in your research work, you need to at least have a consent. And it ought to be a, a participation which is voluntary, not coerced. Okay. And it should have some confidential declaration. It should not pose harm, and it should not result in miscommunications or diverse communication, which is not helpful. Scientists and researchers must always adhere to a certain code of conduct when collecting data from others. These considerations protect the rights of research participants, enhance research validity, and maintain scientific integrity. Research ethics matter for scientific integrity, human rights and dignity, and collaboration between science and society. This principle makes sure that your participation in studies is voluntary, informed, and safe. Are we together? So I mentioned about ethical, and this is what the ethical means. You cannot do research and get people in your questionnaire without them not knowing what they are putting themselves in. The information that they release to you, it needs to be confidential. Yes, you could plot your data and you could state that you spoke to different kinds of people with certain ages, whether male and female, but you cannot disclose their name. It should be confidential. Are we together?
Yes,
Are
sir.
we together, Miracle?
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes.
Do you have any questions?
No.
Now, there's what we call timeline in research work. Because your research cannot be done haphazardly, it needs to be done in a chronological manner, in that people can pick up your research work and they can understand what precedes to another and what is taking them to. And so, for instance, you cannot start a project work and a research work without not talking about your aims and objects. You need to talk about them. But the means and objects need to come before a literature review. And then literature review need to come before a methodology. Okay. And so in as much as you have a research work to be done, there needs to be an illustration of the events that you are doing. You need to show the timelines of the research, the studies, and the event planning. Timelines then make it easier for students to understand the historical events related to any subject in an orderly manner. In a timeline, you should include the starting and ending point. I mentioned that, just like project work. A project work should have a start date, and a project work should have an end date. Okay? A project work should have a start date, and a project work should have an end date. Okay?
Yeah,
Stephen, are you with us?
yeah, I'm with you.
I've been trying to check on, but you've been off talking to other people at the background and you can't hear me. Okay.
Sorry
So
about that.
it is important that Miracle Stephen, your project work should be well defined. Your supervisor expects you that when he gives you the green light to start your project, they give you a time to start, and there's a time you need to deliver your project work. If you are not able to deliver the project work, sometimes they'll give you some extensions. And then if you are still not able to deliver, probably they have to postpone to another year or something. So in your planning of your project work, there must be timelines. The timeline that will state when you are finishing and when you started. And if there are any limitations that you went through, for instance, you are doing a research and where you went, they have to attack you, or the getting information was quite difficult to gather, or probably there's political problems like currently in Nigeria. If you are being sent to go and do a research in Boko Haram area in the northern part of Nigeria, you might have limitations as compared to somebody going to the south. And so these limitations may impede your progress of, so to speak, of information gathering. And these things, you need to capture them in what we call limitations within your project work. Are we together?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Are we sure?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yeah. And so your timeline should tell the start and the ending date of your project work and the important milestones. When we talk about important milestones, limitations are one of that. The achievement that you're able to chalk and the non-achievement that you're unable to do because of problems that arose from your research work. Okay, you're unable to get enough data in your research work because of this reasons. Okay, all right. And so these are some example of timelines. It tells you the week one, the days, the start date and the end date, how many of hours that you used in doing that, and then the description of tasks. What did you do within that period?
I already carry
Okay,
out it out.
what did you do within that period? So you have um a training given to you to deliver a training for 1 month. For 1 month. So you start in the week one, I'm going to do a setup of the training, give the introduction trainings and all that. In week two, I'm going to teach them some aspect of the in week three. These are what we call milestones. Okay. So because a BPP, which is an evidence-based research, because it is very important that you critically analyze you ought to have what we call the assessing of the project that you have been given to. You need to do what we call evaluation of it. Okay, you need to ask questions. That's your questionnaire. Then apply those things. Okay, apply them to the project work you are doing. And then what you do in effect in general, you acquire knowledge. In project work, in thesis work, we acquire knowledge. Knowledge that will help you in your next line of job, or knowledge that will help you to become a good presenter, or knowledge that you can pass on in your work environment, your community, in every aspect of your endeavors. Okay. And appraiser, what do you understand by appraiser? Appraiser is very important because when you do a project work, your supervisor would surely will tell you how well you did and how well you did not do. That's why any project work will be marked. When they mark, they will tell you whether you are excellent student or you are a good student. And if there's any room for improvement, your supervisor will guide you so you can do that room improvement. Appraiser is also help in our work environment. Oftentimes, before people are given promotion, there have to be an appraiser on you, isn't it? The appraiser will
Yeah.
determine sometime even the salary that people are going to get. If an appraiser is done on you and it shows that you did more than expected, some company they give bonuses. Some company, when it comes to promotions, you are the ones that they look into give you promotion. You understand? So appraiser is very, very important. Do we have any questions?
None so far.
No, fine.
Good, good. And so I mentioned that the reason why you do timelines is that your timeline should give you a chronology of the things that you seek to do from your start of your research to the end. Okay. And so I mentioned that you cannot put a literature review before your aims and objectives. So every research you have an aim, every research you have an objective. Where the aim is the purpose of your main goal of your project. What is your main goal of your project? My main goal is that I want to get all my family members, everybody should have a degree. Every family member of mine should have a degree. That is your main goal. Okay. So you have to ensure that you have stated your main goal because the main goal helps the reader to understand the focus of your research. What is the focus of your research? That is your main goal. The focus of your research is your main goal. So the reader then understand by just that he knows, okay, this man or this woman wants his family members to get degree. Okay. So the aim will then tells you why this research is necessary. What is the purpose of the study and how would you accomplish it? Okay. And oftentimes it should not be more than one sentence. All right. So your aims are different from your objectives. The aims are what? The purpose of your main goal of the project. It should have 3 points. Why, what, and how. Why, what, and how. Why is it important to do your research? What is the purpose of the study and how would you accomplish it? While the objective, okay, so the main aim is going to answer, but research objectives outline how it's going to answer it. So the aim is going to what you are going to study, but the objective is going to say how to answer them. Objectives break down each component of your research project into smaller portions, each representing the key section of it. Each of the research objectives should have the following: specific, accessible, obtainable, relevant, and time-bound. SMART. Okay? Each research. How many know about this SMART? Do you know about it? How many know about the SMART principle? Hello? How many people know about the
Hello.
SMART? Have you heard of it, the SMART principle?
Yes.
Okay. So while your aims looks at how your study, your objectives look how to outline those. So, and the object should have what? Research objects should have the following: specific is the action that you intend to take. Unclear, what method would you use to measure your progress? Do you have the necessary support? Does the action you propose support the achievement of your research aim? And are you realistically able to complete the action within the given time frame? Very, very important. Okay. Aims focus on what the project proposes to achieve. Objectives focuses on how the project will be achieved. Okay. The aims focuses on what the project proposes. Okay, what the project proposes, and then objectives focuses on the project, how the project will be achieved. The research objectives are more specific than the research aims. Okay. Research objectives are more specific than the research aims. So the objects are very straight to the point, bulletin, but the aim is more generalized. Objectives focuses on short-term and immediate outcomes of a project, while the aims look at the long term. It will be best to write an objective as a numbered list. Bulletin points. The aim to be written in a sentence. Are we learning something, please?
Yeah.
Are we sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we said ethical reasons surrounds itself around what? Consent, around privacy, around confidentiality. Okay? Your research should not go beyond this. It should remain within the legal framework. You have consent of those who are participating. You have privacy of their information. You keep their information confidential. It should not pose any harm to anyone. Okay? It should not raise any conflict
Yeah.
as well. Per your research should not raise any conflict. Okay. Ethics in medical research deals with conflict of interest across various levels. Guidelines have been proposed for standardized ethical practice throughout the globe. The four fundamental principles of ethics which are being underscored are autonomy, non-malfeasance, benefit, and then justice. Okay. So these are what we call ethical reasons. And it is very important that your research work or project work should not lead into conflict of interest. When you publish it or when you submit it, it should not lead to a conflict of interest. Okay. Now, the last bit is what we call SWOT analysis. How many of you know SWOT analysis?
No, I don't know much about this.
Miracle, have you heard of it before? Miracle,
Yeah.
have you heard of
Yes.
before SWOT analysis?
Yes, I have.
What's your understanding on it?
So sorry, I might not really be that active, as I said, but company I work for. Let me just.
I think it's about to identify the strengths, the weakness, and the opportunity that leads to the threat. Hello.
Good, good. So Miracle, so what I know you guys know the meaning, but what can you explain? What purposes do they serve in an organization on your research work or in your research work or even in your practical life? What purpose does it serve? A miracle.
In an organization, if you talk about this SWOT, I think the
Mhm,
strength of the organization, how are you able to put into the strength to make sure that the organization does not go down, that they still
mhm,
maintain their policy and they still stand firm,
mhm.
which is okay. Then the weakness, what are the weakness? How can we make sure that this weakness has been strengthened so that it will not affect the resident or the organization that we are into?
Mhm.
What effort can we put into it? Make sure that everything works well. Then the opportunity, what are the opportunities that could come to the company that the company could benefit outside the organization that could not pose risk to that particular company? What are the opportunities that we could see that could be of benefit either to the staff, the resident, or the organization and itself? Then the threats, what are the threats that could pose on the resident or on this or on or the governor of the state, like um, the media, the example, the threats. Let's say if they could hack the company policy or they hack they just into the company cyber, let's say like cyber crime could pose risk onto the into the organization, which is part of the threat. That, the little thing I could say about that.
Miracle, what do you have to say?
Hello?
I can hear you. Hello? Hello?
Hello, yeah.
Yeah, Miracle.
Hello?
Yeah, Stephen, we can hear you. Hello?
Yeah, that's the thing I have to say.
Good. Well done. Well done. Miracle, do you have something to say?
Thank you.
Miracle. Miracle, are you there? Miracle. All right. Well done. Well done, Stephen. And point on. So
Mm,
we can relate this to our project work or our submissions in terms of literature review. Okay. So in literature review, you are depending on the skills that you have already to be able to do justice in reviewing of a literature which is already there. Are you together? All right. Of a literature which is already there. Mhm. So you are trying to do a review, and a review, you need IT skills, you need critical thinking. So you have to identify what are your strengths in literature review, what are the weaknesses that you don't have that you can sharpen on, what are the various opportunities that you can dive into in your review, and then look at the threats. What are the things that you encounter, the struggles, the limitations,
yeah.
that you struggle in
Like,
your review and all that. And this is how you do that in trying to improve your knowledge and skill set within research methodology. You may not know able to do display of interpretation of your diagrams. You may not know how to use the tools and IT software to do histograms, to do bar charts, to do Venn diagrams and all that. And therefore, you might need to look into opportunities or go for some trainings within that area to learn that in your literature review or in your project work. Okay? And you may have huge threats of information gathering. You may be struggle to get information gathering in that area. Okay. And
yeah, like
therefore,
you want to interview some people and they feel like,
exactly,
no, they don't give you the
exactly,
facts you need based on your
exactly,
research.
exactly, exactly, exactly. So, guys, we have lovely interaction today. I'm very impressed, Stephen, your contribution and Miracle.
Thank you.
And don't just learn for learning's sake, but learn and then keep them. So wherever you go, when you are talking, people know that you have learned. Okay. SWOT
All
analysis
right.
will never stop. It's something that anywhere you go, you need to apply that. SMART analysis, you need to know them. Okay. When you learn a research work and you're
Yeah.
able to do it, when you're going for your master's, the same thing, the same fundamentals that you need to use for your master's. It's the same thing that you need for your PhD as well. You understand? So if you become a master of this today, the near future, it will help you as well. So these are references that you can resort to and you can get them from your student model. Okay, these are references that you can resort to, and all this you can get from your student model. Okay, so we've looked into today, we've looked into value, the importance and oversight of health research, the evidence-based practice implementation, very, very important. Okay, so these are the things that we have looked into. And if you have any questions at all, you can email them to the learner at ukvarsity.co.uk. We expect that if you have any
Yeah.
assignment submissions, it should be done 2 weeks from when we have had our last lecture. Okay. So in the
Okay,
absence of
please,
it, you
when is
have
the last lecture? Can I ask a question,
I
please?
think we have one more lecture. I have to check. I think it might be today, but I have to check from the office. Okay.
So
I have to
the
check.
submission should be 2 weeks after the old
Yes,
lecture, the last
exactly. Yeah,
lecture.
you might have started already, but you should
Yeah, I
your
started
final
because
everything.
last week I requested for the questions, so it's been sent to me. So I've been working on it.
Exactly,
So I think
exactly.
in the next 1 week I'll be
Amazing,
with it.
amazing. Miracle, what about you?
Sorry, what was the question,
Have
please?
you
Sorry.
started looking at your assignments?
Yes, I have.
You have. Okay. So it might be today being the last lecture or not, but I have to check. So by now you should started wrapping up and then trying to put some finishing touches to your assignment. And then I expect within 2 weeks it needs to be submitted and all
Please,
that.
before you round up, can I ask another question if you don't mind, please?
Go ahead.
Regarding the assignment,
Yeah.
according to what I learned was that depending on the grade you want, if you want pass, if you want credit, if
That's
you want
true.
distinction.
That's true.
So
That's
my
true.
question is this, if you could do the four, because the one I have as the one I'm doing currently has some slides. And apart from the slides, the 4 units, like if you want decision, is everything has to be 3,000 words or each one has to be 3,000?
No, everything has to be
Because
3,000 words.
yeah, because I sent email as well, but I do have received the response. I've been thinking of either separately or everything has to be 3,000 so that I will
Everything
know
has to be
what to do.
3,000 words. Yes, yes.
All right.
I
Thank you.
think
Thank you
I'll
so much.
check. We might need to have assignment discussion. I'll check. I'll check. Okay.
All right. Please, whenever we are having the assignment discussion, please, could you please send me to the group chat so that we can prepare for it, some question or
We
anything
will
that is
do.
bothering our mind, please.
We'll surely do.
All right. Thank you so
All
much.
right. Thanks so much. So, Miracle, Stephen, lovely meeting you. We'll bring today's lectures to an
Um,
end. Okay. Take
Thank
Thank
you
care.
you
so
so
much.
much.
I'm sorry that I couldn't really participate
Bye.
because you're
Yes. And
currently
you
at
can
work.
leave feedbacks on the chat room for me, please. Eh?
Okay, I will.
All
Yes.
right.
Leave a chat. Both of you. Leave a chat. Leave feedbacks. Eh?
All right.
Yes. Yes. And
Thank
also,
you
if
so
you
much.
probably in the group
Thank you
on
so
the group
much.
as well. You are welcome. You are welcome.
Thank you very
Leave your
much.
feedbacks. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Don't forget to leave your feedbacks. Okay.